Peace to the gods. You're listening to Hindsight Radio.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another Truth Tuesday show with your host, Akeem L, here on Hindsight Radio, the information station changing the nation. That's right. That Lauryn Hill song should be a gospel. They should be playing that in church. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. And in this time, in this age, this day, people are saying, doing, acting out, acting up, because they know not what they do. They're in fear of the coronavirus. They're in fear of, now it's the new one, the murder hornet now. Wow. They think, man, we're watching a movie. If it ain't one thing, it's another. And if you're caught up in the world's business and you're watching it, you're paying attention to it, you're going to be in fear too. People are faint out of fear, not knowing the way out. I know the way out. All I got to do is keep my thoughts pure. Keep my words pure. Keep death out of my mouth. Only speak things of life and well-being and prosperity, wealth, good health. Why we have death and destruction in this world? Because a large majority of the population is speaking and thinking on these things. They're in fear of it. You know, that's why they got the mask on out there in the public. In the stores, you can't come in here without a mask. Today I had to go to get some fingerprints done because I'm working on my name change petition. That's right, y'all working on the name change petition. No, it's not the name change petition. Y'all talking about changing from my mom and pop giving name, my family name, to some Abdullah Shabu Shaman Abdallah Ali or Bey. No, it's not that. It's none of that. I am living in the tradition and the honoring and being respectful of my mom and my father and my mother. Honor thy mother and father, your days will be long. You do not honor thy mother and father, you shall have darkness. And darkness represents ignorance, lack of knowledge. And I have the knowledge that, yes, I do need to change my name. And I'll discuss that in detail in a webinar in the near future. But what I want to talk about? What we're going to talk about today. First off, before I get into that, forgive me, I couldn't do I could have done last week's show, but I was just mentally worn out. I had to deal with a situation of a personal nature, and it took a lot of energy out of me. You know, when you walk in this life of being private, understanding what your rights are, you will be tested. And I was tested last week, and I have to show them, I have to do my thing. And I'm going to go over that. It has a lot to do with Bill of Attainder and due process, what these people can and cannot do, and you must challenge them on it when they come at you. But first, what did I want to read to you guys? And it's Proverbs chapter 18, verses 20 and 21. From the fruit of the mouth, one's stomach is satisfied. The yield of the lips brings satisfaction. So what is that saying? Whatever you speak, you will get the satisfaction of those words. You will bear the fruit. You will yield the fruit of those words. 21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So if you love your words, you love to say what you have to say, you will eat the fruit of your words. I can assure you, in my own personal life and experience, I've eaten a lot of fruit of my words. And more often than not, Some of the fruit that I ate was bitter because the words I used was bitter. So now in my life now, I choose and I look for choice words, good words, because I know now that when I use good words, sweet words, I will eat the fruit of those words. So if I don't want to have bitter taste in my mouth or in a bitter experience in my life, I shall choose my words wisely, because life and death is in that tongue. You know, the states are opening up now gradually, and you got some people who are not happy with that. You know, some of our people of color, we're going to have, there's people going to die. I'm not going nowhere. Blah, 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 blah. They're scared. You know? And like the song says, forgive them, Father. They know not what they do or think or say. So you're just going to sit down and do nothing? You have to be productive. A productive life gives off fruit. If you are not productive, you're not getting any fruit from that. See, some of these people who are saying all of this, I want to stay home, probably been already staying home. Don't have much going on for them. You know, opening back up means responsibility for them. You know, the numbers on the CDC website and all of the official websites are contradicting what the news say drastically. You know, but people don't want to know the truth. They don't. They want to share their own opinion on things. There's another scripture there. What is it that I was reading? Hang on, let me find the scripture. Because people love to speak as if they're speaking facts without having real substance to go along with it. And when you give them facts, they ignore it. And what is it? I just had the scripture. Proverbs 18:2. And it says, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing personal opinion. That's what most of these have. They watch the news and let the news psych their mind up all day long and be in fear of something they can't see, touch, smell, and they stand in the house. Now, what's interesting about this whole thing, a lot of these people are professing to be God-fearing people. You know, their religious ideologies or beliefs say they're not supposed to be doing certain things, fornication, adultery, and all that, and they do that every day without fear of God supposed to be punishing them for those acts. But here they are, the virus, that could kill me. So who they believe is stronger, the COVID-19 or God? You know, there's a code of conduct that theology, Christianity, religious have. You know, you're supposed to do this and do that. You can't do this and can't do that. That's a sin. This is a sin. That's not a sin. But people are doing those things all day, every day. Sleeping with each other's, with people's wives and husbands. Nope, without a conscience. They ain't afraid of dying from that, but they're afraid of this virus. It's so hypocritical behavior. That's what it is. You know, you see when pressure is applied to people, you see where their faith and their loyalties really lie. See, most people believe in governmental powers, governing and controlling their lives. Most people believe in that. They want that. They welcome that. They say they don't want it, but they welcome it. This is why some of them are complaining now that they have to stay in the house. This is why some of them are so happy. The government's going to give them the $1,200. You know, hey, get your $1,200, that's fine. But you know you're going to have to pay that back come next tax year. We're giving you money they haven't taken already. That's the irony of it all. Anyway, listen, keep your minds positive. Life is great. Life is wonderful. Sorry I missed the show last week. I played you a show from the previous week, which I think was a good show, talking about setting yourself in your proper name. We'll be doing a webinar, and I'll be detailing. I already got the petition already ready, roll, and all of that. Some states got all these requirements, and my state got a lot of requirements. So I had to go through all of this stuff that I didn't want to do. And COVID-19 slowing things down because, I had to get fingerprints and, do all of this stuff. I could do it in New York, but I just don't, feel like traveling to do that because now they got some new rules. You have to show the, proof of where you live through your ID or something like that. And I don't feel like going through all of that, so I'll just do it locally and go through all of this little extra hassle. It's not much, but it's also a good experience because I can show you how to navigate these things. So, what's the topic of discussion today? Bill of Attainder, due process. Okay, what is a Bill of Attainder? What is that? Do I still have it still up? No. So let's just type it out and I'll give y'all the link. Bill of Attainder. Defined. I'll put this in there in the chat box for you. There you go. That's the link. Okay, Bill of Attainder is definition. Bill of Attainder definition, a legislative act that singles out an individual or group for punishment without a trial. The Constitution of the United States, Article 1, Section 9, Paragraph 3, provides that no Bill of Attainder or ex post facto law will be passed. And then I also have on there due process. What is due process? Okay. Due process is basically you get accused of something. They get the warrant, they charge you, get a warrant to arrest you. You go before the judge, they, do the little bail hearing, send you on your way, you come back to court, and you get the opportunity to be heard because the law says you're innocent until proven guilty, although you're not treated that way. Because if you're innocent until you're proven guilty, don't arrest me. Just set up the trial, we go and prove I'm guilty, then I go to jail for being, once I go to guilty. But no, they lock you up, you pay bail, all of this stuff. All the cart before the horse techniques that they use. All of it is to enrich the state or the government or the federal government in their processes. So, Bill of Attainder, basically, they say your car, they tow your car, and you cannot get it without paying a fee. So some cop just tows it. They take it, impound it. You can go pick it up, right away. A lot of times the next day or within hours, you just got to pay the fee. So they basically hold your car up for ransom for the fee. So you have to pay them to get your car without the benefit of being heard or due process whether you did something wrong. So you are deemed guilty prior to being heard before the court and found guilty. That is a Bill of Attainder. That is denying you due process. So anytime someone tows your car or anything, so, I'm just summarize what happened to me last week. Something happened with my son, and they ended up towing my car that belonged to me, titled to me, off my property, all because of something they had something to do with him. And I was like, why are you taking the car? You going to do check it out? What? No, we're just towing it because of him. I was like, no, you can't tow that car. You need a warrant. You're deeming me guilty by taking my property, and then I got to pay to get it out. You're not doing it. You're not serving any justice for this. back and forth. The cop told me I was on the phone, so I was, an hour away. Said I was watching too much TV, and I said, no, I don't watch TV. I read the Constitution, something you have never read, that you took an oath to. I said, and I told him straight up, I'm going to win this. And I was very polite to him. I said, listen, leave the car there. It's on private property. It's not obstructing any roadways. Leave it. And he would, he's getting cocky with me. And I said, listen, I'm going to win this. I just want to save us both the trouble. We could go, you deal with what you have to do in the other situation, but don't take my property. You have no permission. Now, I knew he wasn't going to listen, and he was going to test me. Tested me. He pushed me. He pushed me right into drawing up a sworn affidavit, drawing up a sworn complaint, a formal complaint against him. And I use the Constitution. I'm going to read that to y'all tonight to show y'all how to fight these fools who think they know the law, these fools that enforce the law and don't know the law. See, they know codes and statutes. That's what they know. Everything he was doing was without warrant. Everything from the word go, and I told him that. I said, listen, calm voice. I don't want to have to do this. Just leave it there. You don't have to take it. The only reason why you're taking this is I'm going to pay a fee. I can go pick the car up immediately after you tow it. He said, yes, that's right. I said, then why are you towing it? Just to cause me harm. And I said, if I'm going to be caused harm, I'm going to seek every lawful remedy in my power just to make an example of this situation. And then I hung up the phone. Right? Everybody that knows me, I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. And now I'm laser focused on this. So I've already made my phone call down to the internal affairs, and I told them I wish to file a complaint. They sent me a complaint form, which I didn't like, so I didn't fill it out, so I created my own complaint, faxed it in. He emailed me back, I got your information, and you'll be hearing back from us. So let's get into this. Before I read my information, let me show you what the courts say about these people towing your vehicle without the benefit of a trial, without due process. Let's see what the court says. Right? Here it is. This is case notes of constitutional law, due process, municipal towing ordinance authorizing the assessment of towing fees and storage charge without notice and opportunity for hearing violates due process. That's Rim versus Landro, 418. F Supra 542. Let's I'll put the link in the chat right now. I know what the hell I'm talking about when I do these things. And see, he didn't know who the hell he was thinking of talking about. Now, after they did all that, some funny stuff happened. Some stuff disappeared and stuff. And I'm like, we'll see. We shall see. So I put the link in the chat. Let's read the case. It says, on December 30th, 1975, plaintiff Rim parked his car in the street in the city of New Orleans. Thereafter, the police ticketed the car and towed it to the police auto pound. Pursuant to New Orleans City Towing Ordinance, remember, this is an ordinance, the pound refused to surrender Rim's automobile without first receiving payment of the towing charges and accrued storage fees. So basically, they were extorting him for money to get his own private property back without being heard in a court of law whether he's guilty or not. See, when they can just take your car and charge you, they are being judge and jury right there on the spot. That is holding two offices. Constitution doesn't allow you to hold more than one governmental position. And when they're doing that, they are acting outside of their authority. Although the ordinance might say they can do that, although the statute might say it can do it, the Constitution says no. And if you don't read the Constitution, you will let them get away with this, and you will be paying these people and not getting your money back. I'm going to get my money back plus some. Because this guy wanted to stick it to me, I'm going after him personally and taking him to court. Because do y'all understand that when they act outside of their constitutional authority, they are no longer acting in the capacity of an officer of the law, so they are now reduced down to civilian level, and you can file a personal suit against them. The law does not protect them when they don't follow the Constitution. Oh, best believe I'll be digging that up and putting that into my lawsuit when I go against them in small claims court. Not only will the city reimburse that money, he will reimburse me for aggravation, pain, and suffering. COVID-19 is an issue now. I had to get out of the comfort of my home, which the governor is saying you got to stay at home, and I had to go expose myself to the elements in COVID-19 to go get my vehicle unnecessarily. The trauma and the pain and suffering that I got from that mental stress. Y'all see where I'm going with this? All right, here we go. See, he wasn't thinking. See, they so used to running over people, they don't think. They're not thinkers. You know? Plaintiff Rim challenged the constitutionality of the ordinance on due process grounds in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Louisiana. The court concluded that the ordinance deprived the owner of two property interests, the access and the use of the vehicle, and an interest in the fees collected before the vehicle was released. Relying primarily on Fuentes v. Chevin, it found the New Orleans City Towing Ordinance to be violative of the federal Constitution because it denied the owner of the impounded vehicle procedural due process. See what it's saying? You are denied procedural due process when you are charged something as if you are guilty without going to court. Bill of attainder. Denial of due process. This is also on a federal level a violation of civil rights law. So you could actually file a complaint with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They investigate. They got a department specifically for that. All right, here we go. Due process protection of property interests as defined by Fuentes requires that a person receive notice of an opportunity for a hearing before his property is seized. Okay? What did it just say? You have to get notice. Wait a minute. We're going to take your property. And you got to say why. They have to have a grounds for taking the property. There had no grounds to take it. The car was parked in a driveway. Personal property. An exception was made for extraordinary situations which involve a government interest that demands prompt action. Applying this view, the district court reasoned that the seizure of a car constitutes an extraordinary situation because of the need for immediate action to ensure public safety and to regulate traffic. So the court is saying immediate action was needed to seize the car because it was parked in a place that wasn't safe. That was, a tollway zone, basically, right? My car wasn't in no tollway zone. They had no right to take it from the get-go. Thus, the section authorizing the seizure was upheld. So they authorized, they had to remove the vehicle. But let's see what else it says. It says, however, the section authorizing the collection of towing charge and storage fees was found unconstitutional because there was no immediate need to collect the money before the owner had an opportunity to be heard. Consequently, an extraordinary situation did not exist to justify the denial of due process. In general, the deprivation of life, liberty, and property without due process is prohibited by the 5th and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution. Due process decisions involve two steps. 1, a determination of whether an interest in life, liberty, or property has been affected. And 2, a determination of type of hearing required, if any. Regardless of the type of hearing granted, the opportunity for a hearing granted at a meaningful time and in a meaningful manner is essential to due process. So they try to give you due process and hold a hearing. Hey, we got your car. At best, they were supposed to release his car to him at no charge, schedule another date to see if the charges are warranted, so he can be heard and disputed. When they hold your car and you can't get it, you have no. It's like, what do you do? Because if you leave your car there, it's going to accumulate storage fees. So you're stuck, you're forced, you're coerced under duress to pay them to get your money back. And I'm telling y'all, stop sitting down allowing them to do that. Make them pay for every violation of the Constitution. Because the more people do this, the less people will think twice before they pick up the car. And I guarantee you, this guy will be thinking about me every time he thinks about towing a car. He's probably already thinking about it now because I already sent the complaint off. And when they read that, and when I read what I'm going to read to y'all today, he's going to be probably doing some research on the Constitution because he's never probably seen anything like what I wrote. Most likely, when he said I watch too much TV. I included that in my affidavit. I said that. Okay. All right. The Supreme Court in the early 1970s began to expand the types of interests that the Due Process Clause protected. One particular area of change from the common law involved the right of property holder in summary seizures, attachments, garnishments, replevin, or government seizures. Traditionally, a balancing test weighing the various interests at stake was used to determine which interest will be afforded due process protections. Under this analysis, property interest was secondary in importance to life and liberty, with the consequence that the res in question could be attached or garnished without prior notice, hearing, or judicial order. So what is res? So y'all know what that is. Res, R-E-S. That's what it is. A thing as a property interest or status as opposed to a person that is object of rights, and especially that is the subject matter of litigation, a court with jurisdiction over the res of the suit, comparing personam in rem quasi in rem. Okay? Res is a thing as a property interest. So, okay. Let's go back. In Shinadak versus Family Finance Corp., the Supreme Court altered the traditional application of procedural due process to prejudgment remedies. The court held that a creditor may not garnish a debtor's wage before the debtor has received notice, been afforded the opportunity to question the garnishment, instead of balancing various interests, whether governmental or private, against each other. Mr. Justice Douglas considered the nature of the property deprived and said that the wages were a specialized type of property, whose garnishment may, as practical matter, drive a wage-earning family to the wall. The court, however, did not determine that the usual attachment proceedings were unconstitutional. Rather, it distinguished this case by concluding that the general rule does not satisfy every situation. The reasoning of Shinadak Court resulted in the formation of two divergent views as to which property interests required pre-seizure hearings. One followed the Shinadak holding strictly and viewed a pre-seizure notice and a hearing as applying only to garnishment cases. The other view, which was adopted in broad terms by Fuentes, interpreted Shinadak as invalidating the traditional procedures in most cases. Writing for the majority in Fuentes, Mr. Justice Stewart held that a person's interest in his property is entitled to due process before the seizure of that property, except in extraordinary situations. At issue in Fuentes were the Florida and Pennsylvania prejudgment replevin statutes, which permitted summary seizures of property based on an ex parte application to the court clerk, who then issued a writ of replevin. Although neither statute provided for notice nor a hearing prior to the seizure, Florida required the complainant to pursue his claim to legal title in court. The Pennsylvania statute had no such provision. The rationale behind the Fuentes decision was to protect the use and possession of property from arbitrary encroachment, to minimize substantially unfair or mistaken deprivations of property, a danger that is especially great when the state seizes goods simply upon the application of and for the benefit of a private party. So when they seize your car, When they seize, like the IRS comes and do the, what they call that lock-in letter, they're seizing your money for the benefit of a private party. They're seizing your property. Because what was the purpose of seizing the vehicle other than for me to pay a fee to a private party? Of course, the towing company got money, plus the state got money. That's all it did. It served no interest of justice whatsoever other than to enrich the state and the private contractor, which is the towing company. Okay? They cannot do that. In addition to minimizing the instances of arbitrary seizures, the court defined the type of interest that would be protected by due process. It found that the significance of the property in terms of its necessity was not a factor because the protections of due process apply whether or not necessities are involved. Rather, the justices decided that a possessory interest in property was enough to invoke the due process clause, regardless of whether the possessor has full title. Furthermore, the court found that a temporary and non-final deprivation denies a person his possessory interest even if it appears that the result of a final hearing would deprive the person of permanent possession. The court did not believe that a later hearing or damage award would be sufficient to remedy the wrong that had already taken place. However, the opinion did not clarify what procedures would be considered appropriate to ensure that due process is afforded, beyond requiring some type of notice or hearing prior to the seizure. Although it has adopted a strict view regarding the deprivation of property through the usual summary seizure procedures, the Fuentes Court recognized the need in extraordinary situations for retaining summary power in the government. Situations considered to be extraordinary are those involving a government need or policy which must be executed. To meet this need, the decision for a limited exception which permits seizure of the res prior to a notice or hearing in an extraordinary situation if certain conditions are met. First, the situation must necessitate a seizure to secure an important governmental or public interest. Second, there must be a need for prompt action. Third, there must be strict governmental control of the seizure, and only a government office can initiate it. Finally, standards must be enumerated in a narrowly drawn statute to govern the official's discretion in determining whether a seizure is necessary and justified. Through these requirements, the court tried to contain abuse of the power granted to the state by requiring the state to control strictly the use of the force. The Florida and Pennsylvania statutes were viewed as having abdicated state control since an official was not involved in the mechanism which brought about the seizure. Not only did the officials abdicate their control, but the statutes also did not differentiate among the types of situations which would justify a seizure. Consequently, the state power was used by private parties to remedy private disputes in which neither the government nor the public had an interest. I'll stop right there. You can read the rest. You get the point. They can't do this. You got to get due process. To make you pay something is extortion. So, being said, let's pull up my complaint. Let's go to that. 749, let's get through this. So, here it is. This is a complaint about extortion, seizure of property without proper lawful warrant, due process of law, and willful disregard for life and safety due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That's my opening statement. On April 27, 2020, my 2007 BMW was seized related to a warrantless traffic stop for erratic driving. The 2007 BMW was parked on private property I got my address listed there. The vehicle was not obstructing any highway or other private road. The towing was baseless and served no purpose but to extort a fee for towing to enrich the state. This is my formal complaint. This is not my actual affidavit. So I did a formal complaint plus I put an affidavit, man. This is what I'm telling you guys to do. The towing was baseless and served no purpose but to extort a fee for towing to enrich the state. The deputy in charge placed himself as judge and jury, which is not allowed. The fee required deemed me guilty without due process to be heard and a trial by jury of my peers. The violations are listed below. 1, my due process was violated pursuant to the Constitution of the State of South Carolina, 1895, Article 1, Declaration of Rights, Section 3. Privileges and immunities, due process, equal protections of laws. The privileges and immunities of citizens of this state and of the United States under this Constitution shall not be abridged, nor shall any person be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. I was extorted for $160, or I would have to incur additional storage fees. There was not a warrant or court order in place at the time of the seizure of my property, private property. 2, the No Bill of Attainder clause was violated. Pursuant to the Constitution of the State of South Carolina, 1895, Article 1, Declaration of Rights, Section 4, Attainder, ex post facto laws, impairment of contracts, titles, effect of conviction. No Bill of Attainder, ex post facto law, impairing the obligation of contract, nor law granting any title of nobility or hereditary emolument shall be passed, and no conviction shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture of estate. The main part of this was no Bill of Attainder and ex post facto law. But I love to copy and paste directly from the Constitution, so I gave them the whole thing. I was unduly charged a fee to retrieve my private property without the benefit of due process. This is in direct conflict with the above-mentioned No Bill of Attainder section of the Constitution. 3, the corporal in charge refused to show a warrant and, in fact, stated, I quoted, I do not need a warrant, and I watch too much television. This is a violation of my unalienable rights protected by the Constitution of the State of South Carolina, 1895, Article 1, Declaration of Rights, Section 10. Searches and seizures, invasions of privacy. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures and unreasonable invasions of privacy shall not be violated. And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing a place to be searched, the person or thing to be seized, and the information to be obtained. There was not a warrant present then or any time after that authorized the seizure of my private property. The governor has issued, number 4, the governor has issued stay-at-home orders due to the pandemic COVID-19. I was forced to leave the protection of my home to retrieve my private property or incur additional costs to retrieve my property. Deputy's willful disregard for life and liberty is apparent in this case. My right to life was placed in jeopardy. Finally, the Constitution was created to protect the people from the state and governmental authorities from overstepping and violating the rights of the people they serve. Furthermore, I demand that $160 plus all related to this incident be returned to me. Refusal to return my costs will be interpreted as a deliberate attempt to ignore my rights protected by the Constitution. Thank you in advance for your cooperation in this matter. So I did my unsworn declaration. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America, the foregoing is true and correct. Executed on May 4th, 2020, signed it. So that's an unsworn declaration right there. Now, here's the affidavit. I'm going to skip certain details on this affidavit because they're of a personal nature. But I'm going to give you the crux of how you should style a sworn affidavit. My sworn affidavit looks like this. It says sworn affidavit at the top. Then I got State of North Carolina, SS, County of Mecklenburg, because I'm going to have this notarized and everything. And then I have before me the undersigned personally appeared, Akeem Barber, upper and lower, who being duly sworn to poses and states as follows. 1, my name is styled Akeem Barber. I am 50 years old and I am a native of New York and now live on the land called South Carolina. I own a 2007 BMW 328i. I have the VIN number, hereinafter BMW. I put hereinafter BMW so I have to keep describing this vehicle. It's what you do in court cases. I'm going to skip the next line. I was told that the Richland County officer proceeded to make a warrantless stop for erratic driving. I was advised my son continued to my address where he was domiciled. I was also advised that the officer pursued into the home without warrant and damaged the front door. So this was quite kind of serious. And I won't go into all the details. He's fine. He's good. He's home. Everything's straight. After I got on the phone with them, they rethought their position on some things. I stated that I wanted to speak to the officer in charge. The officer in charge at first refused to get on the phone. I then told, this is my ex-wife, I won't put her name out there, to put me on speaker. I stated that they did not have a warrant to tow the BMW. I advised it was parked on private property and he would be in violation of my inalienable rights protected by the United States Constitution and South Carolina Constitution by taking private property without a private warrant. The unknown corporal then got on the phone and stated he did not need a warrant. I stated he did in fact need one, and I would pursue every lawful remedy at my disposal if my property was towed without warrant. The corporal stated I watched too much television. At that point, I asked the corporal to do me a favor and not tow the car, so I'm being nice. He refused to comply with my request and had the vehicle towed. I picked up the vehicle on April 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time from the towing company. I incurred a fee of $160 to retrieve my personal property. Then I did my unsworn declaration. So in your affidavit, if you're doing a sworn affidavit, just stick to the facts. You don't want to put your personal opinion in here. Now, I think this and he think no. You stick to everything that was said. That's what an affidavit is for. It's supposed to state facts only, not your opinion or your assessment of the situation. Because then it's not facts. It's just your opinion. That's why I had the formal complaint. Because there I can say specifically what he violated. So that's why they go hand in hand. You understand? See, a lot of y'all want to do affidavits and then y'all want to tell a story. Oh, yeah, my mama was thinking this and that. My daddy said this, and he thinking it. No, stick to the facts that pertain to you and related to the situation. There's 17 points I put in here. That's it. So they can get a clear picture of what I'm saying. Okay? And then you have this certified or had it notarized. And so my certification looks like this. Under penalties of perjury and verified under oath, the undersigned Hakeem Barber, up and lower, states that he has read the foregoing affidavit and has knowledge of the facts of the same and verifies the statements to be true and correct. And it's notified. Now, when I say up and lower, please don't write up and lower after your name. I'm just describing how my name is written. Because I've seen some of y'all do that. Take those little things and put in there. Please don't do that. And on a side note, somebody emailed me today. Oh, it's the passport place processing passport. Why do y'all want to email me with those questions when y'all can just call the people and see what they're doing? They're the ones processing the passport. I don't process passport. I teach y'all how to do your passport. My job is to show you how to get a passport as a national. I don't know the hours of the Department of State passport services. I don't know their schedule. So the best people to ask for a schedule is the people who you need to deal with. Call them up. Get on the internet. Call them. Stop with that BS. Think for yourselves. Acting like babies. The time you took to send me an email and ask me that, the time you could have took and went to the Department of State website and see what they say. That's simple. You just slowed yourself down in your remedy just by emailing me something silly like that. I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little harsh right now, but we are in a dire situation right now, and all of this acting like a child with these childish emails is ridiculous. Yo, are they doing this? Ask them people. Guess what? I was in 3 different court buildings today, trying to get information for the name change that I'm going to do the webinar on. They open. Yeah, they got y'all stuck in a goddamn house, but they open. Building looks like a ghost town. This is the perfect time to start getting some of y'all processes out of the way because you got there's nobody there to stop y'all really. They just take the file it. And they were nice, went in there. Oh, I need this. Lady gave me the whole name change package. Hey, this is what you do. Bring me this and bring the fee, and we'll process it. Nice. It was beautiful. But how do I get this information? I look it up. I go find out. I ask the people I need to deal with. And y'all brothers, y'all talking about these sisters and how they don't respect y'all. If y'all acting like children, how can they respect you? Some of y'all not acting like men at all. Like little babies. Mom and daddy, are the people open today? Go ask them. They got the answers to their hours. I don't. And you don't know how many times a week I get that. In the last 2 weeks, I probably got 20 people who emailed me with that same question. And I'm like, yo, how about you look it up? How about you go to the website and ask them? And guess what? It ain't the sisters, it's the brothers. Y'all got to start acting like leaders, man, and acting like men. If you want your woman to follow you and respect you, you got to stand on your 2 feet and act like a man. A man says something, he does what he says he's going to do. And when he meets adversity, he stands up to it. He doesn't run from it. I'm supposed to be the protectors. Working as a team. I'm only speaking to y'all men because I'm sorry, man. Some of y'all are failing in this area of leadership. And right now, this is what we need because things is going to get worse. They have crippled the economy. Even if they go back to work, the repercussions of this is going to be felt for years to come. And the last thing we need is y'all brothers acting like y'all can't handle things. Because, that saying, the survival of the fittest. Strength-wise, men, we have the power. We have the strength. We have the power to endure. We have the skill set, the mindset to endure extreme adversities and to see danger and protect ourselves and our family from it. That's what we're designed to do. Be a covering for your family. Have you sat down and actually thought about if someone tried to take advantage of your children, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever? Have you ever thought about that? What you would do? Would you just allow someone to come into your house and just take advantage of the people you care about and love? Just because they got a badge on? I've already thought about that. Gave it very careful thought. And I will tell you, the outcome for whoever that is not going to be a good one. Because I'm determined to protect my family from anything that will put them in danger or any harm. That's the man's job. The reason why these people get away with it is because we ain't out there standing up. They said, well, the men ain't doing nothing. We got them all punked out. We see on the television and all these social media platforms, young girls just being slammed to the ground by a man. He just handling her like a little rag doll, and people just standing around with their phones. Huh? Some things is worth. Some things is requires your action and a possible run-in with the law. Because just because the law says, because see, when they acting like that, they're not acting lawful. There's no need to rough handle a woman that weighs around 100 pounds, and you're a man who's about 200-300 pounds. There's no need for that. That is unnecessary force. And he should be dealt with extreme force doing that. I don't care what anybody say, well, no, this and that. You're scared of these authorities. No. Y'all forget how this country was founded. It was founded, we are here because things were taken by force, violently. How do you think we're going to get it back in order? Oh, peaceful protest? They've been doing that for years. What happened? Because eventually them same perpetrators, the children of those same perpetrators are going to try to take things by force again. What are you going to do? All right, that's it. I gave y'all basically how to handle a situation like that. Of course, I always turn everything into a template. I give you the stuff, the remedy on the air for free. Then I turned it into commerce, and I put it on my website, and you buy it. So the next few weeks, I'm going to redact some stuff, and then I'm going to put it up on a website. So you can do a formal complaint, what an actual sworn affidavit is. See, y'all know that an affidavit must be rebutted, right? Y'all know that. That has to be rebutted. You can't get around that. Oh, and by the way, I CC'd the Attorney General on that. I was thinking about the FBI, but I'm going to hold out and see how they handle themselves first before I go to the FBI. Then I'm gonna go do my lawsuit against them. That's guaranteed. I'm gonna sue that officer because I just want to, hey, I asked him politely, he didn't listen, so there you go. All right, what y'all got to say? Y'all got your hands up? No, I don't. Okay. 8:08. I get to an hour show. Less than an hour show. I get to go get off early. Nobody, I'm sure. Y'all don't have questions. There's a lot of callers on here. Yeah. Somebody said the food supply is being, yes, the natural food supply is being destroyed, but I think you're going to be able to buy all the junk food, all that garbage they put chemicals in. So that brings me to my next. I have an opportunity. I met a brother who's got these special pots that you hook up a water hose to it, and you can grow vegetables in, less time than you normally would take, and yield more fruit. And I ordered some of the pots. I'm gonna set them up. So I'll put some seeds and start growing some vegetables. And it's a business opportunity. This guy is just getting things off the ground. He's waiting on some new molds. He's getting into the cannabis pots or the hemp. You can grow your own hemp. Everything. I think it's a huge opportunity. If you're interested, let me know because I'm talking about doing a whole distributorship with him. I actually talked to him yesterday. I told him I'll talk to him again tomorrow. And anybody who's ready, wanting to get down, let me know. But it's a great product. All right. Okay, y'all put your hands up. Hold on. All right. 914-920.
Peace, brother. What's going on?
Peace, man. What's going on? How you doing, bro? How you feeling?
Hey, man. I'm all right, brother. Wonderful, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate the show. I'm actually in the middle of the same thing that you're in the middle of. I've been dealing with this thing, and you kind of put me on to something. So I appreciate what you did. Because I tried.
Yeah.
I tried everything you just said, and they still crapped on me. So I got to do something.
Of course,
else.
you're gonna have to take them to court. You have to sue them. See, the higher court is gonna find in your favor because you don't get due process when they charge you your fees without, hey, you gotta get your car back. You gotta pay me. That's extortion, basically.
Right.
You
And
know?
when I tried to get the car back, I finally went to try to get the car back, and they had already destroyed the damn car. So now I'm in the middle of now I got to sue them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now I got to sue them. So
Yeah. Go after them. Don't let them get away with that, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not. What I really want, I want to. We were supposed to handle some business. I owe you something, so I'm ready to give it to you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Without putting it all in the public. I forgot how you wanted.
I remember now that you mentioned it. You know me. I work a lot on the honor system, but thank you for being honorable about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I owe you something, man. I'm, you know what I'm saying? Right. I'm ready to give it to you.
Okay.
So,
shoot me an email and I'll show you how to Handle that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll do that.
All right.
All right. That's really what I wanted to get on for. I'm interested in them pots too. So, if you got some information, you want to put me in that email?
They come with send me an email about that, and I'll see you the information. They're tight.
Got you.
Like, you hook a hose up to it, it'll do the self-watering, and it has a timer. So you can put the timer on, and it'll water as much. But this guy made them, and he got 100 plants in his house. So he said he don't worry about no food.
Right.
Actually,
All right.
He's right up there in Philly, actually. The dude is out of Philly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
this
definitely.
is good. I quickly jumped on it. I ordered some yesterday. I told him I was going to order some for myself so I could see how they work, and this way I could promote them to other people. But, I'm going in on a big scale with them. So me and my team, we already talked about it. So we all already doing it. All right.
The moment you said it, I was interested. So yeah, I'm on that.
Yeah, y'all gonna need this because you're not gonna be able to buy fruits and vegetables like you used to be. Right now they got them, and even those fruits and vegetables are all processed. They're not natural stuff. They give you some nutrients, but not all that you need. But if you go on your own, you'll be better off. All right.
Right. Absolutely. So I'll send you the email, and you can send me the information. I'll get what I need, what I owe you to you, and then I'll send you an email about the other thing.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Peace. All right. No problem. All right. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. 612-458.
Peace, bless up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Peace. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed. That's how I'm doing.
Yes. Okay. What can I do for you? What's your question?
One thing I was going to say is, the Freedom of Information Act request, the FOIA request in most states, I think pretty much every state has their equivalent. I don't know what the North Carolina one's called, but in Minnesota it's called the Data Practices Act request. And, I was enjoying putting in, I actually have a whole list of things I plan on filing more for. But I filed a bunch of Data Practices Act requests on the state of Minnesota, on Minneapolis. I haven't even filed one on the state level yet. And I was able to dissuade them from further molesting my vehicles. I shouldn't even say vehicles, but my property in the past. Where they were harassing me with bogus tickets as well as bogus tolls. And the topic you had today is interesting. I'm going to study more up on that. Is it attainder and attainment? Is that the same thing or is that different?
It's Bill of Attainder. Bill of Attainder. It's in the Constitution.
Bill of Attainder.
It's actually in every Constitution.
Yeah.
Every
so when you put in that,
has that clause.
Do you know what the Data Practice Act request or the FOIA in North Carolina code?
No, I don't. I don't need that. All I need is the Constitution.
Well, sometimes if you want,
get their oath and get all of this stuff and then use that. No, I have never gotten the officer's oath. I've never did all of that. All I do is point out that you took an oath to this and you didn't follow it, and I win. I don't, if I have to do that, I'll do that later on. But I'm not going to need it in this case. I'm not going to need it. Because it's very clear. See, a lot of times y'all lose because y'all don't outline your grievances clearly and precisely. I just read to you precisely what he violated, how he violated, and gave them the description. This is what this is. This is what you did. This is how you violated. Several instances. It's clear. There's no mistaking of what I mean. I've seen people put in these types of complaints, and I was confused as to what they were saying. All they did was copy and paste the Constitution, but didn't have any statements to support that section of the Constitution. I recommend you read that Constitution, brother, and get yourself familiar with it. Because if you ask me what a Bill of Attainder is, that means you have not done a lot of reading of the Constitution.
Well, I wasn't asking what the Bill of Attainder was, but at a certain point, I thought you said attainment, and I was trying to see if attainment was an alternate terminology for attainder.
Bill of, but no, it's not. Bill of attainder is when they charge you something without the benefit of due process.
And the bill of attainder is their act of doing that to you, or what? Or is that what you file on?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what they're doing. That's what they do when they charge. Like if they told your car, charge you a fee. I had no due process to go to court to say whether I was right or wrong. They deemed me guilty without a trial. It's a bill of attainder. That's a legislative act that they created that charges someone a fee or a fine or puts them in jail without the benefit of a trial.
How far back would you go to address, an issue where they committed a bill of attainder?
I don't know, but it depends on the statutes of limitations of your state, and every state's different. You need to check that out.
And that would be the statute of limitation for a bill of attainder?
That would be a statute of limitations, yeah. Because you got to see the statutes of limitations on suits to make a claim against someone that harmed you. So you need to look at the civil process. That's the statute of limitations you're looking at.
How about what did you say in the heading? You said a SS or FF? I didn't hear it.
It's
I don't know that
form of a styling. It's
what's it mean?
Let's pull it up. SS it's how you style your affidavit. It's a statement.
So that's SS like
sworn statement. SS, sworn statement.
Okay. So SS is sworn statement.
Like,
all right.
You ever seen you know what the best way to do it? Do a search on sworn affidavits. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So the SS sworn statement there. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then with the affidavit itself, the full name of the affidavit is just like you were saying. It's only for fact, and the name of it itself is an affidavit of fact, right?
I don't name my stuff affidavit of fact. Know why I don't? Because everybody in the Morris community and the conscious community uses that, and I don't like my stuff looking the same. So I say sworn affidavit. That's all. Something simple.
Okay. As far as the Data Practice Act request here in Minnesota, one of the ones I filed was they kept harassing me and ticketing me and trying to tow me and towing me, because sometimes they would try and I'll catch it before they did it, for a supposed alleged 72-hour abandonment. But somebody was calling or they were claiming that they got a call that my vehicle was abandoned, even if I only had it parked there for a couple hours. And so the 72-hour abandonment, as the name implies, implies that there's got to be a certain standard, to determine what's even
for a 72-hour abandonment is this. Even though somebody calls, they can't go off that person's word. So they got to put a sticker on it to say you have 72 hours to remove it. Then they can remove it. So the officer got to do his due process by notifying you. He can't just say, oh, it's been here 3 days, more than 72 hours, and they come and tow it. They can't do that.
Yeah, that's what they would do that. But then what they were doing was then sometimes there wouldn't even be a paper on there, a notice, and they would put chalk on the wheels or claim they put chalk on the wheels in an inconspicuous place. And then they were swearing to me all day long, the top boss of parking and the 311, which is the city information line, were both advising me that they didn't have to put a notice on. All they had to do was chalk the tires. They're saying before they could just look at your odometer, which is nonsense, because you're only supposed to have to go 3 blocks or something, and obviously 3 blocks isn't going to change your odometer. But, you can't see the odometer these days anyways with these cars we have. And so they were saying that if someone calls it in, then they have to send parking out to flag the vehicle for the 72 hours starting at that point, just like you were saying. However, I'm saying they can't just go off someone saying that it's been abandoned. They have to say, how long has it been there, sir or ma'am? And then that person has to claim it's been there a certain minimum threshold amount of time for it to even be considered legitimate, because it's a squandering, it's misusing the public, misusing the public taxpayer money. That's all I was saying. They can't send someone out in any circumstance. So I filed a Data Practice Act request after they lied to me over and over. I saw the Data Privacy Act, and I got pictures of their screen, the 311 operators, and it said right on their screen what they was swearing up and down. 10 people swore that it didn't say that, and it did say it. What it said was somebody had to call in and claim the car's already been there for 72 hours. That's when and only then that they can send out based on a call to then flag the car for another 72 hours.
You're not answering my question. Where you going with this? Okay, I understand all of that.
I just told you everything. I already went there. I made them admit to the information and stop harassing me via my property.
What happened after that? What was the result?
They stopped harassing me, and I haven't been told again. And, I haven't gotten any tickets, and now it's been a year and a half. But before, I was getting,
that's good.
Tickets and tolls right and left. It was amazing.
Okay, good. I'm glad you got some sort of remedy. All right,
I can even make the 311 information operator take my data practice request if it's for the city. They'll try to claim they can, but you tell them you need them to do it because you're driving at the moment and you don't have a free hand.
I use the Constitution. Data practice of that might be successful. That got them. It didn't get you back your money.
It's just another thing, man. I'm not trying to say it trumps the Constitution or nothing like that.
Yeah. I'm going after
Appreciate
the
you.
with the inconvenience.
Right.
All right, brother. All
right, bless up. Peace.
All right, let's keep moving. He just wanted to get on to say that. He just hung up the phone after he said what he had to say. He just wanted to just talk data practice that, that might, that got them probably to stop them, but the goal is to get your money back. Hit them in the pocket. Okay? They inconvenience you with all of the fines. You go get your money. 317-514.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How can I help you
I have a question. I got a quick question on the SS5 form. I have my youngest son. His name on his Social Security card is different than his birth certificate after we got married. The birth certificate was changed, but his Social Security card wasn't. So I didn't know if before I do the passport application, if I should change his name or just wait and then change the whole style and the name, if that can only be at one time. It should be separate.
I wouldn't mess with your Social Security card. Just if his name was changed on the birth certificate, right? Is that what you're saying? Hello? Did we lose it?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here. Someone was beeping in. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. The name on the birth certificate is already changed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, just use the name on the birth certificate. Don't worry about the social.
Okay, so then when maybe I have the process.
Because that's what you're going to show as proof is that birth certificate, the updated birth certificate. Now, when they ask for any other names that he has used, then you write that in on the other line on that application.
Okay.
When you're doing
and then when we go in and
I wouldn't do nothing with the SS5 form.
Do nothing for his on the SS5 form?
No, because you remember the social is a straw man account. So you take that new name and you put it on the social, you just created another straw man.
Okay, and so I guess maybe where my confusion was, I thought was after we got done with the passport application, we changed the style of our name using the SS5 form.
No, you don't change it. You can't.
No.
How do you change the style of it? You can't do it unless you get a court order. You got to do it with a court order. They're not going to change the style of that without a court order.
Okay.
You change the style of his name by going to court and making sure that they do it in an upper and lower status. But you can't do that before you go to court. So right now, if you're applying for the passport, leave the social alone. Leave it alone.
Okay, so leave that alone, and then just use.
Right.
So I won't need to do anything
just
on the
use the birth certificate as it is, and if they ask for additional names, just use then you put that name that's on that social on that application. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That Social Security card is not as important as getting your nationality straightened out.
Okay.
And plus, he's a child. He's got plenty of time to deal with that.
All right. Sounds good.
Well,
all righty. Well,
yeah.
I will get it all wrapped up then. Thank you so much.
He's not even in a contract right now because he's not even an adult to even be handled that way. So get that out of the way, and then the next phase of correcting the style is another. We'll move on to that phase a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will get these
All right.
processed then. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to 44247.
Greetings, and peace to the gods. This is Elise from Atlanta.
How are you?
I'm awesome. I just want to thank you for your teaching. I've been listening to The Natural Man, the DBA, and today the Due Process, and it is revolutionary. It's just information I've never heard before, per se, and faith cometh by hearing, and I just need to go back and hear it over and over and over again till it just becomes a part of who I am. But I thank you that you are able to articulate yourself succinctly in a short amount of time. And like you said, you don't have to take all day, 3-4 hours to explain something. And I appreciate that because I work, I take care of my mother and all kinds of stuff. So I'm grateful. My question has, you're welcome. My question has to deal with my position. I'm a healthcare worker. I work at a dialysis clinic. I have been able in the past recent years to not get a flu shot. I sign paperwork. They put it in my file. I keep them moving. With this so-called pandemic, they're talking about a vaccination maybe even before the end of the year. My supervisor just came back to work yesterday for having tested positive. She was out for like 3-4 weeks. She stayed at home. I've got a strong feeling, DaVita is a Fortune 500 company, that they may make it mandatory. In order for you to work, you have to be vaccinated. So I looked at the template that you had for parents with children who were in school. So I deleted the school stuff and changed some of the information. But I think it's important to put in what the current policy is. With DaVita, I was just kind of going to do a cut and paste and put it in there based on your current policy. I can be exempt from vaccinations, yada, yada, yada. And so I am attaching this or sending this to be put in my permanent records. Is there anything else?
You can go to the federal, the website, the FBI, and look up civil rights violations. And they got the civil rights codes up there. You can actually, along with the Constitution, you always want to use the Constitution, your religious freedoms, right? And sometimes I'll try to find a scripture that can line up closely to what I'm doing and put it in there. And then you can there's the section how no one can violate your rights protected by the Constitution under color of law. And religion is one of those clauses in that statute. You can put that in there as well.
Okay.
So that's a good thing you brought up. So I'm going to go make one for an adult. I was actually thinking about this over the last week. I'm going to have to do another one for this vaccination crap that's about to come up. See, a lot of people are afraid of that, but one thing they can't get around is the Constitution and religious freedoms. Like New York got rid of religious exemption, but the federal government has said that no state can usurp the Constitution or your religious freedom. That's a civil rights violation. And they can actually go to jail for that. So people who hear these things, they don't know the Constitution, and they become fearful of those things. Those things don't fear me. That just tells me I'm going to be in for a fight, and I have to be able to stand on it, be prepared when it comes my way. A lot of times we are trying to deal with this stuff on the fly. It's time for us to be prepared. So I'm going to update that template for adults this month, over the next week or two, pull it out and work on it, because that's actually been on my mind for the last week. And, you know, way things work for me is once the download comes from above, I get to doing it. So it's already been, you know, I've been already nudged to do it. I just, now what words am I going to use to do it? So, but that's coming. All right?
Okay.
All right.
Because I don't feel like a rush to do this right now, but I know it's something.
Take your time. You're not mandatoring people right now to do it.
Right.
But it's coming. It's likely to come. Now, this is what I want people to keep in mind. If we are fearful of these things and we're thinking that they're going to do it, guess what? They're going to do it. We have to put our minds on no. You gotta speak what's going to be for you as if it's now and make it happen in your mind like it's not going to happen to you. But if you believe it, the reason why I give people have the same paperwork across the board to do the fight though. So like everybody gets the same template to do the passport. Now, 1 out of every 10 people, there's always someone that has a problem getting their passport as a national. And the common denominator is this. That person had it in their mind that they were doing something wrong, and they were scared of the powers that be, and they had that energy when they walked in that office that they were going to get a hard time, and they got it. Now, some people got a hard time, was able to overcome it and still get it done. You know, I got resistance on some level, but I was able to talk through it. You know, but I was prepared, ready, and, you know, mentally saying, hey, God, give me the words I need to say at this moment, and I say it, and I do it. You know, then I look back on what I said back. I didn't say the right thing, but, no, I did say the right thing because it got me the results I was looking for.
Right.
You know, we just can't buy into the energy that these people are going to force a needle into our arms. You see, when you start believing that they can do that, then you just gave them power.
Absolutely, yeah.
In your mind, in your personal experience, you place them in a powerful position over you. They don't have power in you. When I was talking to that cop last week, he didn't have any power. He was trying to exert power through our conversation. At first, he didn't want to get on the phone, and as soon as he heard what I was saying over that speaker, he got on the phone. And then my son was like, and his mom was like, no, don't talk like. They were afraid of the things I was saying. I said, listen, I talk with power. I said, they got on the phone. I said, I could hear him in the background talking about he wasn't getting on the phone, but he got on the phone with me. It's something I said caused him to get on the phone, got him to thinking. Because if he really was being, you know, if he really believed what he believed in, he wouldn't have got on the phone. Yes, sir. I said, think about it. I said, he got on the phone with me, and they were refusing to get on the phone. But when they heard what I was saying over that speakerphone, all of a sudden he got on the phone with the barber.
Yeah.
Okay? Now we're talking. And I said my goal wasn't to stop them from towing the car. My goal was to get them on the phone so we can have a conversation so I can put it in an affidavit as to how that conversation gets. So when I get him on a stand and have to cross-examine him, he has to recall everything he said to me on the phone. I was building a case for the future. You see?
Very good.
That's all I wanted. I wanted to build my case for when I do go to battle. Hey, this is what you said here, didn't you? I told you needed a warrant. But, you know, these are the things you need. You know, I know they're used to doing. See, most people in this world are operating off of assumption and presumptions of law, not on actual law. So one cop sees another cop towing cars. Hey, do this, do that. They're not. That's not what they. What were you towing the car for? It's on private property. It wasn't in a private roadway. It wasn't obstructing anything. Why are you towing this car? You know?
Because I need some money. Yeah.
Because that's all it was for, just to harm me.
Yeah.
Not only did he harm me financially, he harmed me in my health because I had to go out there in the midst of this pandemic to go get it.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of a pandemic, but I'm using it.
Right, right. You're going to put it on paper.
My ideas. Right. You know?
Well, they come at us like the Wizard did on The Wizard of Oz with all the pomp and circumstance.
Walking, did you pull the curtain back? It's an old feeble man back there.
So great.
You know?
Little Toto who pulled the curtain back, and it's like, man. My next question, still kind of connected to where I work, because I did get the lockout letter, and I have to move forward with that as well. But what other documents do I need to include in my human resource record? I thought when the passport comes through, I need to have that as a part of my permanent records so they will see that I am not a U.S. citizen. Make sense?
Right.
Okay,
yes.
Is there anything
the
else?
The difficulty you're going to have with the lock-in letter is this. The job is never going to listen to anything you have to say because whatever the IRS says is law. That means you got to attack the actual entity that's causing the problem. You're going to have to go after them. Now, I've already got somebody who went after him, and they answered them ambiguously, never addressed any of his points. And he's like, I don't know, you know, he's confused on what to do. I'm looking at the response, and I'm like, got him. Me, when I look at the response, I say, you got him. Because he never, see, it's what they don't talk about is where your weapon is. And they never address any of the points or acknowledge any of the points that he brought up about the lock-in letter. They said, he made these frivolous claims. And he should be fined because he's making frivolous claims. So basically, they're denying him this due process. Wait a minute, I have a complaint. You're taking money without a court order. And that's one of the complaints I'm making. Not frivolous. You know? So he has to address that and, you know, rebut that line for line. But that's most likely what you're going to get when you go after them. A response trying to dismiss your case due to lack of jurisdiction. So if they don't have jurisdiction, then that means they didn't have jurisdiction to take your money.
Right.
See, the answer is in there. You know? Just got to know how to. See, they talk with forked tongues, and you have to see the double talk and know how to address it.
Gotcha.
You got to get out of the carnal mind and get into the spiritual mind. When I look at these things and these responses, I'm laughing. Now, the person I'm helping is not laughing. They're like, boy, they're all frantic. Me, I laugh. I say, this is a joke. And I say in my mind, got him. That's all I needed. You never rebutted my claim that you took my money without a court order. So basically you're saying I'm right. You're right. I'm right when you did that. I'm right. So, but anyway.
All right.
Okay.
That's it. I appreciate it.
All right. No problem. All right. You take care. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Oh, listen, I suggest y'all go back and listen to the show so y'all don't have to pay for the affidavit. I read it. Really, the most important part was how I styled it in the beginning. And go look up some examples, you know. But those of you who just want to see what I did and, you know, word for word, put, you know, when I put it up on the website. I'm noticing with the power of attorney, they're increasingly giving people a hard time. All I can say is try another county, but get it filed. You will get it filed. You get it. All right. What's up next? Tomorrow is the Solomon's Temple show, 10 a.m., 1 hour show. Me and Solomon chop it up basically the whole time. about health issues. Tomorrow I'm going to ask him about lectin, because I heard some people saying lectin is no good for you. Some say it's good. And lectin is in certain foods like beans and tomatoes and stuff like that. So I want to talk about that tomorrow. And on Thursday, we got the Divine Connection show with Jessica and Tasia. Then on Friday, my son does a show Friday. He did one this past Friday. Sometimes adversities make a person rethink their past. With that being said, hang on a second. With that being said, that's it. I'm out. I gave y'all enough. I don't have to be on here 3 hours to help y'all. I give y'all straight to the point, good information. I would go back and listen to the show. We take it in again sometime this week. Get on your affidavits, prepare. I said new passport and trust webinar. I don't know what you're asking me. Yes, that's available. The trust and nationality webinar is available on the website. It's $799.98. It's 2 days, total of around 7 hours of content, of great content, showing you how to become a national. I actually made some adjustments to the affidavit right in that webinar. Also, in the second day, which was Al's day, break down the 14 steps to be able to recoup your funds. Some communities, they call it discharge. I don't use the word discharge or recoupment. It's a recoupment process. And that's what it is. And once you understand what that is, it's going to open your mind and realize that all of these guys out here talking discharge were liars and thieves. They took your money. They never did it, never showed you they did it. They were liars and thieves. I'm trying to give y'all real remedy. Yes, and I do charge, because I spend a lot of time and effort putting this stuff together. But it's not like I don't give y'all some of the information for free on the air to help you. I give you guys enough information. If you go watch my videos on YouTube, you listen to the show, you can do a lot of this stuff yourself without paying me a dime. If you just take the time and read it over and over and over again, just do what I do. I give y'all the recipe to be able to do it yourself. I give y'all the recipe. There is no shortcut to knowledge. Knowledge takes time, effort, repetition, reading this stuff over. The reason why you got to read the stuff over and over because you're programmed to learn stuff the wrong way through, public education. So you got to re-educate yourself. I speak on a level of understanding or overstanding that most people won't reach in a lifetime. Why? Because I read. And with that, there's one more call. I'm going to take that and I'm going to get off. 302-465.
Peace to the gods.
Peace to God. What's going on, brother? How you doing? How can I help you?
Not too bad. It's been a little while, man. Just hop back on. It's been a couple years, actually, man. And
really? Okay. Well, welcome back. What's going on? What's your question?
I don't really have any questions. I just want to give some big ups to you, man. I'm glad to see y'all still rocking. And I did your recoup process. I did your recoup process. I did the recoup process.
I don't know if you did this one because I just started teaching this.
Right. And I probably have not. I did.
And it's not my process. Recoupment is not my process. I introduced you to the brother that actually does it, who's been doing it for like 15 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what recoupment process you're referring to because I just really started teaching it, and most of the people that I'm teaching to is in my private membership.
I only picked up on that word because you just used it actually, and you was like, you don't do this. You don't say. You don't use the word discharge. So let me back up and say I did a discharge process, and it was successful.
Okay,
it was real successful. And it was with it was with One Main Financial. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, that's a big bank. Oh, that's not really a big bank. That's a small little loan company.
Yeah, they used to be.
Around.
It used to be a Citibank office, and then
right.
I think they had, you know, that actual office turned into something else, One Main. So One Main Financial was the small subsidiary bank. So I had a little personal loan for about $4,000, and then at one point I had redid the loan, and I had like total about $7,600 some odd dollars. So from there, I was paying them off and stuff like that, but you know, it had a high interest rate, so it seemed like I was never paying it off. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So what I did was, you know, I tapped in, tuned in, and did my little studies, and I did the discharge process with the drafts. You know?
Right.
So
you would have to hold up. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
You would have to show me proof.
No doubt. I got that.
Show me the proof.
Because
right now, this is what's going off in my head. You haven't been on in a couple of years. You sound like you've been sitting here to say that. I need to see.
No, that's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
I ain't got.
I need to see it before I endorse that.
I feel you. I feel you.
All right.
So let me finish
a lot of people who did a draft ended up being drafted behind bars. So, but go ahead.
All right. Let me tell you. I sent out 6 of them, and I got you know 4 situations that I can speak on. Okay. So
I don't want to hear no more talk. I want to see the proof.
All right. So
my email is
you want me to
1027@gmail.com. Hindsight 1027@gmail.com. Send that to me, and then we'll talk. If it's legitimate, we'll talk about it further. You know?
All right.
Now, many people come to me and said they did it and they've been successful. Then when I probe it more, they really wasn't successful. Like the loan actually got charged off on the credit. They just stopped pursuing it, and you know, all that kind of stuff. It really wasn't discharged.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You know.
So when you want me to
discharge means that you got a letter from that company stating that you had a zero balance. You no longer owe them any money. That's discharge.
Okay. So what would you call it like on your credit report when you get the saying that you have completely paid off your loan? Congratulations.
The credit report says that, but what did the bank say?
Right.
What did you get?
But I didn't get a letter saying like what you said, zero balance. But yeah, maybe you could school me a little bit more on exactly what happened. You know, that's cool. I'm down to
tell you don't owe them no money. They don't just disappear.
Right.
You know, but your credit report says you paid it off. A lot of times it'll say zero balance, but it's actually charged off.
Right.
Meaning they are not going to pursue it, and they're going to get it in their tax return.
Right. I'll show you exactly what it says. I'll show you exactly what it says.
Okay, show me what it says. All right, brother.
Exactly
all right, peace.
But what is it? No, the email address.
Hindsight1027@gmail.com.
All right, got you. 1027. All right, peace.
All right, y'all. That's it for me tonight. That's it. All right, where am I leave y'all? I'll leave y'all with a little, some old song. Here we go. Boom.